The American Sign Museum, located in Cincinnati, Ohio, was founded in 1999 to inform and educate the public about the history of the American sign industry. The museum also highlights the industry's significant contribution to commerce and, perhaps most importantly, the American landscape. Collected from coast to coast, these rare treasures document the practical history of graphic design, retail, and cultural art in our country. From the obscure to the well-known, the American Sign Museum houses more than 120 signs, with many more waiting in the wings. For museum founder Todd Swarmstead, the American Sign Museum is much more than a labor of love.
Originally, I didn't have any signs at all. I didn't have anything when I started. I started with nothing but an idea and some seed money. I spent a lot of time in sign shops since I was writing about sign shops and how to manufacture and design signs. And I saw a lot of the sign shops throwing out their signs, not because they wanted to, but because of urban renewal, for example. They actually had programs in the 60s called SOS, Scrap Old Signs, where the sign industry was trying to clean up its image, I guess, and they would loan out their crane trucks and their crews on the weekend to take down abandoned signs. So a lot of the old style signs, the animated signs, the rotating signs, the porcelain signs, the neon signs were going by the wayside. This stuff was being tossed aside. I thought it needed to be preserved somewhere, and not only as an archive of the sign industry, but because the public likes these old signs, and it's quite apparent when people come to the museum. I often hear them exclaim, "Oh, I remember," and then fill in the blank as they point to a Kroger sign or a Dogs and Such sign or whatever it might be. It's an emotional connection. It's a memory of things past, and it's a good memory when things were simpler and maybe slower and not quite so tuned to a computer screen or whatever. I really view the museum as kind of a microcosm history in three areas. It's a history of design in the U.S., it's a history of technology in the U.S., it's a history of commerce in the U.S. It's a fun place. It's bright, stuff's flashing, twirling, rotating, it's fun. So what I'm trying to point out here is not only the history of the evolution of the three-dimensional letter, but all the various types of materials that can be used to make signs. I view the museum here as a good start on a museum. I don't generally talk about that as that this is just a start, because when people come here, I think that they're surprised at the level of sophistication in the museum. But I don't tell them that this is only a microcosm of what I'd really like to do. We have a lot more signs that we would like to install in the museum. We have a lot more stories we'd like to tell. One of the things we'd like to do is to bring a neon shop actually into the museum. People love to watch neon being bent. It's amazing that this handcraft still pretty much exists as it did in the late 20s, early 30s when it started. We'd like to have a sign painter shop in here. The art of sign painting is, I won't say it's lost by any means, but to the public, to watch a sign painter stripe a car or hand letter a sign is amazing to them. We'd also like to have an education bent to it geared toward kids. If you're going to have kids coming through here, then you've got to have some hands-on activities. It is a leap of faith. Maybe I'm old school. If you have an idea and you shop it around and you work hard enough and it happens, I guess what I told myself is, if this 6,500 square feet or so that we have here is as far as we get, then I won't be happy, but I'll say I did what I could with the resources I had and it came out pretty well. I'm not done, but I'm going to need some help from some other people.